On January 14, 1761, two massive armies collided on a flat Indian plain. By nightfall, over 100,000 people lay dead. It stands as one of the deadliest days in the history of classic formation warfare. But the most striking detail of this massive clash between two indigenous empires is that the ultimate winner never even set foot on the battlefield. To understand why they fought, we have to look at the decades leading up to 1761. Following the death of Emperor Aurangzeb, the Mughal Empire fractured as successive rulers struggled to maintain authority over regional uprisings. By the mid-18th century, the Mughal emperors were figureheads, exerting little control beyond the walls of Delhi. As this map of the subcontinent shows, the receding territory of the Mughal Empire left a massive void in the center of India. Two rising powers rushed to fill it. From the south, the Hindu Maratha Empire pushed northward. And from the northwest, the Afghan Durrani Empire, led by Ahmad Shah Abdali, marched down toward Delhi. When a central authority collapses, the vacuum pulls emerging regional powers inward, making a major collision between them nearly certain. That collision happened at Panipat. Sitting about 97 kilometers north of Delhi, Panipat's flat plains were a vital strategic point along the primary route used by armies moving toward the capital. The Marathas arrived at this position carrying a massive logistical burden. Alongside their combat troops, they brought an estimated 300,000 non-combatant civilian pilgrims straight into the path of the war. This map of the Panipat region details how the Afghan leader Abdali capitalized on that burden. While the Marathas established a static camp, Abdali risked a dangerous crossing of the rain-swollen Yamuna River to maneuver his entire force behind the Maratha position. By seizing the road back to Delhi, he blocked the Maratha army from their food supplies and reinforcements. Starvation set in over the next few months, forcing the Marathas to initiate an offensive attack simply to avoid collapsing from hunger. Logistical failures and geographic positioning often determine a campaign's outcome before the first shot is fired. This tactical schematic outlines the Maratha strategy on the battle's morning. Under Commander Ibrahim Gardi, they relied on European-style static artillery, stationed in the front lines and protected by rigid infantry squares, to shatter the enemy with chained grapeshot from 500 yards. Abdali countered with high mobility. His Afghan army relied on heavy cavalry and a weapon called the zamburak, a small, highly mobile swivel cannon mounted directly on the saddle of a galloping camel. In the opening hours of January 14th, the static Maratha artillery dominated the field. Their French-supplied cannons tore through the Afghan lines, forcing Abdali's troops to fall back. By noon, the Marathas had inflicted severe casualties. Their superior firepower made a total victory appear inevitable. But technological superiority in static firepower can dictate the early flow of a battle, while masking severe tactical vulnerabilities. The turning point came from a single fatal mistake, an over-enthusiastic premature charge by the Maratha cavalry, who advanced before being ordered. Out of formation, the Maratha cavalry charged into their own cannons' firing paths. To avoid hitting them, gunners stopped firing, losing their advantage. Abdali instantly deployed mobile camel artillery to the flanks, raining interlocking fire inward over his infantry to crush the exhausted Marathas. In the center of this chaos, the Maratha commander, Sadashiv Rao Pao, dismounted his elephant to fight on horseback. Seeing his empty howdah, the Maratha troops assumed their leader had been killed. Panic rippled through the ranks. Maratha formations broke apart, turning the battle into a chaotic rout as fleeing soldiers were hunted by Afghan heavy cavalry. Tactical rigidity, combined with a single breakdown in the chain of command, can instantaneously reverse a military advantage into a total massacre. The immediate human toll was staggering. Tens of thousands died in combat, but the violence continued. The following day, up to 40,000 Maratha prisoners and civilians were executed. Abdali had won, but he established no lasting political power in India. His army was exhausted, and shortly after the battle, he took his plunder and withdrew back to Afghanistan. The Marathas survived as an empire, but the loss of their most skilled leaders halted their northern expansion and left their territories in a state of internal infighting for years. The two most powerful military forces in the region had effectively neutralized each other, leaving behind a power vacuum across much of the subcontinent. At this same time, The British East India Company was quietly consolidating its strength in the east. They had recently secured the wealthy province of Bengal at the Battle of Plassey and were building a massive financial base. As this map of India shows, the fragmented territories of the Marathas and the retreating Afghans left empty space. Without a unified Mughal, Maratha, or Afghan empire to stand in their way, the British East India Company was able to expand its footprint inward from the coast to fill the void. The mutual destruction of the indigenous empires at Panipat removed the primary barriers to foreign conquest, paving the way for 2 centuries of British imperial rule. The battle didn't just decide who would rule northern India in 1761. By eliminating the region's strongest defenders, it determined who would rule all of India for the next 200 years.